Blue face, baby. Yeah, I'm every woman's fantasy. Mama always told me I was gonna break hearts. I can surf off stupid. Don't be mad at me, I wanna see you bust down. Bend that shit over on the gang. Yeah, make that shit clap. She threw it back, so I had to double back on the gang. Smacking high off the drug. I tried to tell myself 2 times enough. Then the nigga relapsed on the dead low. Ain't no running, Tatiana. You gon' take these damn shows, Tatiana. I beat the pussy every time it's a murder scene. Keep shit player, Tatiana, like you ain't never even heard of me. But damn.
Unfiltered Reptile Podcast with your crew, MJ, Steven, a.k.a. King Bubbitons, and the Queen of Reptag, Desiree Menard.
Hi, MJ.
What is good? Happy early afternoon Unfiltered Reptile Podcast Day. Wait, early evening, whatever. It's a different time for us.
Depends where you are, I guess.
Yeah. How are you guys doing, man? What's good?
It is what it is,
Grinding.
Yeah.
That's it. Just another day, another dollar, another W. Just how you get that package, right? That $30 flat rate shipping package, that Cold-Blooded Cafe. Where the fuck is it? Damn it. There it is. Coldbloodedcafe.com, right? So before we get started, please check out www.coldbloodedcafe.com. Freshest and bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep. $30 flat rate shipping. Will never go wrong with coldbloodedcafe.com. And then make sure you put those eggs inside of a sim box. Sim containers is where it's at. We both use, on both ends of this podcast, we both use sim containers, and it works great. Humidity is never an issue, and we have high success rates when it comes to hatching stuff out of a sim box. And then Focus Cube Habitats. The future of enclosures is finally here. Really awesome enclosures being built over there in Texas by Ashley and Steven. So shout out to them for killing it. And then make sure we're all supporting U.S. Art, the nonstop fight to making sure that we fight for our animal rights and make sure we can keep our damn animals, okay? But what is going on, guys? What is cracking? Hey, okay, hold on. I'm sorry.
You're cutting off half of your head.
Yeah, you're like...
Oh.
I
should probably adjust that. There you go. But what is going on, guys? Before we get into the meat and potatoes of what this roundtable is all about, how are the animals? How are projects going? Give us a little update on that.
Pretty solid. As I feel like, MJ, the two of us have talked about it. A lot of people are saying this is, for some reason, their snakes are breeding late this year. And
COVID.
Exactly. I haven't thought about that. Shit. But yeah, so COVID delayed snake breeding. Stuff's kind of slowly coming along here. It looks like our Mexican indigo snake is about to have her pre-lay shed in a couple days here.
That is insane.
I just hope she doesn't lay when we're in Arlington. But other than that, I'm pretty excited. She showed it, but yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
That's huge.
Emerald manulated stuff still going on.
What would be bigger, the indigo clutch or the emerald litter?
Emerald.
Okay, that was easy for.
Des. I mean, okay, yeah. So I would say probably from like a captive representation standpoint, maybe the indigos. I think there's definitely less of them than there are emeralds, but from like an overall like mass appeal standpoint, probably emeralds. More people I feel like emeralds than Mexican indigo snakes. I feel like most people only know about the Eastern indigo snakes, which nothing wrong with those. They're awesome too. Man, it's totally different. And that's what is so great and why we do what we do is there's so many different animals to enjoy, and we like to have a variety. So
you still got Chondro Locks going too. They're still going at it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome, man. Well, it's good to hear.
How's that white lip doing?
Dude, pretty awesome. Right now she was in the hide for like the first couple days after her shed, and now she's right in front of it. So she's like in front of it going inside. She's doing a bunch of back and forth. I keep, what's crazy is I keep catching her laying inverted. Like she's laying like super like weird. Yeah. I've never seen a white lip lay like that ever, but obviously she has stuff going on inside of her. And I don't know, it's Kush. You'll be the first to know what's good once I know what's good, and so will you, Des. So I just can't believe I can't. Listen, I'm just like this, and I don't know. Let's just wait and see what I don't even want to talk about it. I'm good. I just want to win. But yeah, man, that's really good. I'm glad to hear. Not only is it happening over here, but it's happening late where you're at. I'm telling you, I think it's a funky year, but I still feel like things are happening. Things are going to happen for sure. Yeah, which is good. Now, let's talk about what's happening right now, man. The big uproar of the exposure, Jay Brewer and Tyler Nolan and a bunch of the YouTubers that they mentioned and whatnot. But it definitely what a fucked up video, man. I'm not gonna lie, that video was really dark. It was really dark. Well, I didn't watch it all. I'll tell you that much. I've heard I don't do good with dogs and puppies dying. Like that's not my thing. And if I see that, that's mentally making me mad. And you know what? Nothing against who made the video, but it doesn't sound like their voice really gave a fuck what they were talking. It just sounded like too malicious. Like I didn't like it. Like it was too. I didn't like it. But anyways,
so, I'd heard a lot about the video in question up until I just watched it about half an hour ago. Because how are we going to have a conversation about a topic if we don't know what we're actually referencing? I was cleaning snakes, so I was primarily listening and, didn't want to see the puppies being killed by the retics, but that was wonderful. It's an interesting conversation because it's pretty much a case of the pot calling the kettle black, except one pot is a little more black than the kettle, but
it's still kettle.
I mean, it's still hypocrisy at the end of the day. And they did a brilliant job marketing wise because
hell yeah,
it's known, and it doesn't have to be said at the top level of YouTube. Everybody is buddy. Everyone is featured on everyone else. They're talking about each other or all kissing each other's ass. Like that's known. So for one of them to call another one of them out, oh my God, well, we'll break the reptile internet. And it's great, that very, sensationalistic, it's essentially picture of Jay with the retic going at his face. First of all, great image to portray up front. Man, I was like, hey, maybe someone who has a voice is finally going to call Jay Brewer out for who he is. And then they're like, yeah, you see all this? Well, it's not actually that bad. I'm like, well, okay. I'd love to hear your argument. And then their argument was people in Florida are catching pythons and then staging videos. And then people in the Philippines are feeding puppies to retics.
And kittens.
Huh?
Don't forget the kittens. There was also kittens.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
ducks.
Yeah, little
goose cats. Fucking why the ducks? Leave the ducks out of this.
Ducks, seriously.
But
dude,
that's just.
I don't know.
I don't know. To me, the argument wasn't super strong. I think there's two issues that are at play here as far as what the video was addressing. One was the Florida issue, and then there's also the national and then worldwide issue. There's little Florida here, and then there's the rest of the world. with the media portrayal of Florida being this Yahoo state where people are letting Burmese pythons out of their house left and right. Which, okay, yeah, legitimate argument. But the way I see it, people in Florida staging videos with Burmese pythons does not have as much of an effect on, let's even just talk about the U.S. for now. The entire U.S. reptile scene, more than Jay Brewer in Southern California using retics as a tool for sensationalism. I personally believe that is more damaging than the people in Florida doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what this video is about. Both are bad. Just because one may be a little more bad than the other doesn't make the other one, doesn't exempt it from question, from scrutiny.
Can you explain when you say both, Stevens? I know we're talking Kevin's exposed video, but what are we? Or I wouldn't even want to say Kevin because
both is in the two sides of the argument that they showed. They showed the
got you. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, the people in Florida killing and torturing invasive animals, and then the people in Asia killing and torturing baby kittens and puppies via reptile.
Right.
They're saying, hey, that is a lot worse than the clickbait over here. So forget about the clickbait and let's focus on the dying animals. Really, the way I look at it, we're in a spot where, do these videos bring new eyes onto reptiles? It's like, okay, yeah, they do. But is this how we as a community want to put our best, in theory, put our best foot forward? This is what people who are interested in keeping reptiles as pets see first. Is the hope you see the people who are doing the sensationalism, is the hope you get drawn to that because it's entertaining, and then you find whatever subset of the reptile world to fall into where you actually start doing things right.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just hoping people go through that process? Or should we be putting that out first? Because these facilities and these people, most of them have been doing this for a very long time, definitely know what they're doing, and have every resource and all the knowledge to be very good keepers and present their animals in a positive light, present themselves in a positive light as well.
Let me ask you this real quick, Stephen.
Okay.
I mean, I think we talked about this earlier, and I think we both agreed to the people in generalities, the ones who are putting out content that is just out there wrong, just fucked up content, but it's to their benefit. There's no switching that. They're already convinced and sold that that's them. They are going to go that route. And who's going to stop them, really?
Well, and think about it this way, too. Somebody who, let's say into the video has like a fishing channel or whatever, some outdoors dude in Florida who's trying to find stuff to get views. Somebody on the outside seeing that, I mean, does anybody really think they're going to, a viewer of that would say, hey, that's every reptile keeper in the world? Or somebody in Asia feeding a puppy to a retic? Is someone really going to watch that video and say, that's every United States reptile keeper? There's no way. No. I mean, there's absolutely no way. The people who are actually keeping reptiles in captivity in the U.S. and putting their content out there, well, maybe, that's how we're going to be perceived. So critiquing that sector, I feel like is way, it pushes the agenda forward more than these people on the outskirts who really have no affiliation or effect on the reptile industry at all. Yeah. So I think it was, should people like that be called out? Yeah, of course. But
there's just a way of doing it.
Well, but not in the context of
Stab.
This is not bad because this is really bad. I agree. What he showed, that was really bad. That's really bad.
It really was.
That's really, I mean, feeding a puppy to a retic for views, that's really, really, really bad. Like, that's evil. But like the saying, two wrongs don't make a right. That doesn't exonerate every other negative person, even if it's not quite as bad as feeding a puppy to a retic. It's like, we're not like, it's not, black and white. There's a spectrum. And really, at the end of the day, the line between positive and negative, or what is the intention? Are these animals a tool to get you exposure, to feed your ego, to make you money, or are you there to serve the animals? That's at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. And I don't do YouTube reptile content in the way that these people do, so I can't comment on in that respect on building an audience. But and I could be wrong, but the way I think about it, if you have to compromise the integrity of the animals for your views, is your content really up to par in the first place? Like, are you really doing this as a professional? Like, are you a professional content creator if you need to compromise the subject for the sake of the video? I mean, really, like, if you need to treat, and I really want to bring up specifics right now, but I'm going to try not to.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Who? Can you give me a specific?
Tell me.
I want to know, because you need to just stop and just give the facts, because this is like, it's time to get real with this. So what is it that you're referring to, if you don't mind, please?
If you have to take your alligator to PetSmart for it to be cool to have an alligator or to show an alligator,
damn,
are you sure you're doing it right? Like, is that the best way to do it? Is that how you want to show crocodilians, these prehistoric killers that survived mass extinctions, these incredible animals that are essentially bulletproof in a literal and figurative sense? Like, is it that hard to make content around an alligator where that's what you need to do? Okay. I mean, that makes everybody else look like a total amateur.
Now, let me ask you this, though, Steven. I'm not defending anything, okay? I'm just thinking. But remember back in our day, like, Steve Irwin days, he did wild shit like that with animals at shows and stuff like that. Like, he did, so what's the difference between what Steve Irwin was doing, like, as far as, like, on television and stuff, and that, which is that YouTube is today. YouTube is television for us.
And what I'll say is, Steve Irwin was not perfect.
No. But no, not at all.
He was not perfect, and he used that sensationalism to his advantage, and it worked for him. I think the times have changed for sure. Where before Steve Irwin, who was talking about reptiles, in a sense that, and I wasn't alive, so I couldn't tell you.
Ron Burgundy,
huh?
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy.
But seriously, but Steve Irwin, like, he's the one who he got the ball rolling, and he showed people, hey, I'm super passionate about these animals. I love them. But in the process did some things that, I think there was the whole Steve Irwin, crazy Australian dude who doesn't give a fuck about anything. So a lot of it was his character was somebody who free handles inland taipans and wrestles crocodiles. But there's an argument to be made about how the sensationalism that was used there may have negatively affected the animals. I think in the day and age now, where there is not just one person who's like the spokesman for these animals, we're at a point now where there's a lot more eyes on reptiles, a lot more people keeping reptiles. It is the fastest growing sector of the pet industry. I know, just as a person who likes reptiles, that the general consensus around them these days is a lot more positive than it was 10 years ago. Like you were weird for having a snake 10 years ago. And now it's like, oh, hey, my friend has a ball python. My niece, she's really into reptiles. They have a leopard gecko. Like, it's a much more common thing now, which is great, which is what we need. And it's good for people to realize that, hey, these are really good pets. And in some instances, they may be a more practical pet than a dog or a cat or a rabbit or a bird. Every situation is different, but in some situations, a reptile could be the best possible pet for your circumstances because they don't need big areas to run. And you can keep one in an apartment perfectly. And of course, there's bad pet owners, there's bad parents, there's bad drivers, there's bad everything. But the goal is to weed those people out as best as you can. But it's the world; nothing's ever perfect. But to be promoting some of that negativity from the jump is just like somebody new watches the video and they're already like 3 steps behind the 8 ball. Where this is how could they know? They don't know anything else other than their first introduction to these animals. Some people are lucky enough to have some sort of connection with the zoo field or a mentor who's already very legit in the game, or find more positive content. But that's when the overwhelming majority out there doesn't paint these animals in the best light, it's difficult for that to happen. For somebody going on YouTube, they're like, I've always thought cobras were so cool. They're something about the respect one has to have for an animal that is that dangerous is just fascinating. I want to watch YouTube videos. And when you see somebody like freehandling a cobra, like looking all crazy, like that's a really bad first impression as far as what everybody else does. Like, I would say a better example would be like, Kentucky Reptile Zoo.
Kentucky Reptile,
where it's a facility that houses many different species of venomous snakes, where they are extracting the venom for antivenom production and for research for further antivenom production and for like pharmaceutical drugs that can be derived from proteins within snake venom. Like that alone is enough of a justification for that to continue forever. That should never get shut down on the basis of that venom is saving human lives. The cure for cancer could be in snake venom.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, the cure for cancer could be in snake venom. And I feel like for those who...
I can tell you right now, the answer isn't taking snakes away. I'll tell you that much. And just fucking keeping it from, from us not working with it. That's the most stupidest thing that you could do.
Yeah, and the thing is... Stuff. Well, and that's the issue is, that for somebody who doesn't have that knowledge to actually understand that, it takes a process of explanation, because I've done it to people before, like family members or friends who weren't into reptiles or teachers, like yeah, okay, I hear what you say, but that makes no sense. Like that seems like the two things don't correlate. And then 10 minutes later, after some explanation, it's like, okay, yeah, when you put it that way, actually, it does make a little more sense now. Yeah. So we're fighting that initial, like, wait, so having animals in captivity is actually supporting of conservation? I mean, at the very base of that statement, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? To somebody who hasn't already heard the spiel about it. It's like, well, wait, why would having them not in the wild help them? Like, really? But then, as everybody probably listening knows, where those benefits are. We don't have to dive deep into it. But my point being is, we're already behind the 8 ball, because that, every person who we are trying to send this message to, they need to understand that first and foremost before they can take anything we say too seriously, because the basis of what we're doing is this is supportive of the animals.
Right.
And if it's not, then why the hell are we doing it? Truly, if at the end of the day, what we're doing is not supporting these animals, then why do it? But the fortunate truth is that it is. So we do actually have a good reason to be doing this. But then that can be skewed to where, maybe your premise is this is what's happening, but if you look deeper, really the animals are serving you. Hypothetical, you probably making content on YouTube. So,
Bubs, I'm gonna ask Desiree a question real quick. Des,
Oh, fun.
I really want your input on this, Des, because I know we all know how passionate Kush is about things. He has a big heart when it comes to this shit. And not that Desiree doesn't. Desiree has a big heart, but I want your input on this. What do you think, Des? And what do you think Brian's really motive is with his videos that he's doing? Because we all know Brian. We're all friends with him on a personal level, all three of us. So what do you really think, Des? Like, I want to know. I want to know what's going on in your head about this.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. I honestly do the same thing that Brian does sometimes, and I like likes and views, but there's a lot of controversy too. Right.
Which is only because of unnecessary fucking shit that people want to get upset about. We have to all be careful nowadays, right? No matter what we do with animals.
That's
which is
what
also
he says. Mm-hmm.
Right. But I've heard so many stories about Jay, and I've been to, I'm not going to get into details. I don't want to get into details and shit, but I've heard enough stories. Forrest has gone to his place before. I won't speak for Forrest, but I was there. Not a fan, bro. I'll tell you right now, not a fucking fan, okay? Brian, been to his spot, been fucking so impressed. I have not one doubt that this fool's not loving his animals at all. You know what I mean? And I know his content recently has been kind of like far. It has. It's been like, oh shit, man, this guy's, you know what I mean? But I don't think he's doing it to fucking fuck us over. I personally don't think. I don't think Barczyk is. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
The intention aside, the reality is the his recent content is a net negative. I feel like for the reptile community. Because. And the argument, as it was in the video, the nerd video, was the thumbnail is just there to get someone to click on the video.
Yeah,
it doesn't fucking matter.
It was 100%. 100%.
I heard this take from a friend. I'm not going to air his name out here, but it was a very good point. Is that when you're on Facebook, let's say, and you're scrolling and you see a news article with a headline that's controversial. How often do you click on it, or do you just see that headline, judge it, and then keep scrolling?
Click on it.
I don't click on it. If I'm on Facebook, I'm like,
I click on like real crime shit. Like, did you know this mother in Dakota, in South Dakota, fucking murdered her children and shit like that? Like, that's what I click on. I click on that shit. Don't ask me why, but I like real crime.
But election fraud, blah, 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 some big like
everything on Facebook's real, Steven.
Well, but no, thing is like some big political thing or something that like
right.
It breaks the normal train of thought that's been happening on the topic. Some people may click on it. I feel like most people just read that headline and move on. It's the same thing with that video.
Yeah.
Most people will not click on that. I mean, just by the law of numbers. The number of people who view YouTube versus the number of people who view that video, any video. I mean, like no one watches anything. Yeah. Think about there aren't videos that like a majority of people watch. People in general. I'm not talking about reptile people. I'm not talking about people who watch YouTube influencers. Just people in general. So more people will see that thumbnail than will watch the video. And that is the problem right there. Because when you have a thumbnail of a snake striking out at somebody and it looks all, oh my God, it's like that may be their entire impression of snakes now. Oh, look, this video has a lot of views, man. This must be real.
But okay, you
want
want to
open the video and watch it, and yeah, maybe that's not the content of it, but for the number of people who are going to open that video and watch it, no matter if it's higher because of the clickbait or not, a far greater number of people saw that thumbnail and the title, judged the video, judged the creator, judged the animals, and moved on.
And this right here tells you,
judgers.
dude, everything right here I'm about to show you explains the strategic moves of that video of exposing Jay. Okay, because you gotta understand. Oh, hold on. Okay, because
you talk a lot.
No, hold on. Because fucking at the end of the day, somebody was calling somebody out because of the shit that they're doing and the content they're doing. But the person who's doing it has fucking thumbnails like this.
Yeah, right.
Like, who the fuck are you to talk any shit? Period. Like, you should just shut the fuck up because you're not the one to talk. You have fucking thumbnails of motherfuckers getting bit. Wraps him quickly. So other people see this video of exposure. Then they scroll down. What other videos does this guy have? This is just one of many. This is just one of many. Fucking, this thing has 7.8 million views. 7.8 million views. They have not had a viral video in a long time. Why the fuck do you think they did this? It's not really about exposing Jay. It probably was their excuse, but they wanted fucking views, bro. They are the exact same explanation that they're talking shit about Brian, Jay. That's what they're doing. The exact same shit. I don't give a fuck. And it would have been a lot more impactful if Kevin was the one narrating it. If it was Kevin talking, not some fucking idiot, not some chump who has no involvement with fucking animals. Okay? That guy's a fucking moron. He shouldn't have said shit. He should have kept his mouth shut. Kevin should have been the one because it would have been a lot more impactful to hear it coming from Kevin.
Well, and no matter who it was specifically, you're totally right. And that was kind of my point at the beginning is it's just total hypocrisy because that's their business model as well on YouTube. Is that like you showed the video of the snake biting the dude in the chest? Like,
who are you guys to talk shit? Shut up.
I mean,
sick of it, bro.
If you and this is really the truth of the matter, and if your goal is to protect the hobby, they support USARK. They do a great job promoting them, and I bet a lot of people have found USARK through Nerd. But if you preach protecting the hobby, protecting the animals, protecting our rights to do this, they're fighting for Florida in their videos, which they're not even in Florida. So, good for them. They don't need to do that. But, if you're going to call people out like that, then walk while you fucking talk. Then don't do the same exact thing. 2 steps forward, 3 fucking steps back. Like, calling out people who are doing it wrong, sure, great. That's what we're doing right now. But then when you go and do the same exact thing, then first of all, you lose all your credibility for your argument because now you're just a hypocrite. And then 2, you have stirred up this drama, taking everyone's attention away from what really matters, which is fighting all this legislation, legitimizing the reptile community, keeping our rights, keeping our animals, and pushing this forward. And now we're all talking about this bullshit. I don't want to be doing this right now. I mean, truly, I don't. I don't like these tirades. I kind of black out and just fucking ramble for a long time about how I feel. But I feel like it's necessary because not enough people are saying this. There's 2 big fights going on right now as far as advancing herpetoculture and keeping it a thing. The 2 are bringing more people to it. And the second one is legitimizing those who are already doing it.
All right.
They're doing the first one. They are a negative when it comes to that second one. Everybody on YouTube right now who is doing the clickbait, who is doing this is my business model of, get people to watch my shit because I need them to. Like, I don't see at the current moment, and there have been in the past, and we talked about Brian briefly. I have thought his in the recent years, his content has been at the top of that list of positive. And we're talking now that we personally feel that recently it's kind of started to go down a little bit.
Just so you know, you guys should be, you, Steven, should be lucky that Lars isn't hearing how you're talking about Brian's channel right now. Just so you know.
I know, right? He loves it.
He would suck
and
you up.
And I still like the channel. This is all stuff I would say to him because it's not a bash. It's a critique. It's constructive feedback. It's constructive feedback to everybody. I would love for people who are doing YouTube content now to change up how they're doing it to portray the animals in a better light. But unfortunately, we can't control them. What we control is what we do, and then also our opinion on it. So for anybody who's preaching this kind of stuff, you know, you also need to practice it, or the legitimacy and the credibility is not there.
What I just don't understand the whole backstab vibe of how this video was, because at the end of the day, you know, Nerd doesn't really have an issues with any of these people. Then all of a sudden, boom, they just blast him. You know what I mean? Like I'm maybe not. I don't know about with Jay, but you know, I know Kevin's hella cool with Tyler Nolan. You know what I mean? And Barcheck, they're hella cool, but then obviously they were thrown into the blender. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, whoa. They were probably better off. They were probably better off linking together to come up with something that they can maybe all do together as one. Versus, well, fuck all these guys. Look what, you know what I mean? Like that was a wild, bold, idiotic move, Nerd. I'm just being 100%. This is MJ's perspective, nobody else's. But that was a stupid ass move to fucking burn other people who are just doing the same shit that you're doing. You know, like you just caused more attention to yourself too by doing that. It was dumb, stupid. That's all I gotta say.
You know, and the point here really is not about, it's not about Nerd, because would we be doing this episode if this hadn't happened? You know, possibly not. This is a similar kind of discussion we've had before, but this was just a vehicle for us to bring up that, hey, like we're trying to fight this right now. And there's people in our midst who are actively doing things to screw us over. Whether that's their intention or not in their mind, it really doesn't matter, because, you know, when it's like one of those where there's smoke, there's fire things. There's enough people right now saying what we're saying where, you know, these people who have this opinion of this video and what's been happening, they're not wrong. You know, what we're saying now, this is right. Like, we're on the right side of history right now with this. And it's one of those things where, you know, it causes two kinds of reaction. The first reaction is, well, fuck, give up hope, because we're trying really hard over here, and man, everything seems to be going the opposite direction. And then I guess the other one is double down, voice our opinion, and hope as many people listen as we can get to listen, or even just say it themselves, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. I'm gonna speak for myself. This is not about me. This is about the animals, and this is about the community and the industry at large. Yep. You know, we don't make our living off of social media and off of YouTube. Like, we don't make money off of this right here. You know, we have Cold Blooded Cafe. We have, you know, Rep Tech. Like, this is what we do. We use social media as marketing. It's a genius innovation in marketing where you're not paying out the ass to have exposure to your product. So it's great, but along with something so easy, it can get bastardized so quickly.
Bastardized. To
where
I love it.
But for where, like, this is what we're talking about now. You know, this is the YouTube. It's a free platform, and people can do pretty much whatever the fuck they want. You know, if you can feed puppies to retics, you can do damn near anything on YouTube. And Jesus. You know, it's at some point, it's a free platform. You can do what you want on there, but you know, you're giving yourself up for critique just by the nature of putting yourself out there. So So this is what it is. They should have expected this. They should have expected, quote unquote, like reptile industry purists to vehemently disagree with them. Because does this bring new eyes or new people watching this? Yeah, sure. But it works actively to make the public perception of reptile keepers worse.
Yeah.
That's the truth, because we're not being like legislation is not being introduced based on the new people. It's being introduced based on what's been happening for the history of the reptile industry up until now. So if the people who are in it now can't double down in and either one, show the legitimacy, or two, raise themselves up to a standard where, hey, look at what I'm doing. Why the fuck would you regulate me? Like I'm nothing but a positive entity. Like PETA is one of the main enemies of the reptile industry right now. People for the ethical treatment of animals. Like the word ethical is in their name. I would consider PETA eco-terrorists and a profit-driven industry based on manipulating the emotions of sensitive people who care about animals just for the sake of insane profit and political control. But it doesn't matter, because that's what we're up against. We're the ones who care about the animals. They don't give a fuck about the animals. They want to murder every fucking animal we keep.
Yeah.
They want to fucking murder every animal that is in captivity in the world.
And that's not a secret.
They give a fuck about animals.
Yeah, that's not a secret. And they're still around, and they're still a fucking voice. That doesn't make any sense.
The highest percentage kill shelters in the fucking world for dogs and cats. Oh, but in their commercials, those big puppy eyes. It's like, yeah, and that dog got sent to the chamber after the commercial.
Wow.
I mean, like, they fed it to their fucking retic. I hope they don't have a fucking retic. I pray for that retic.
Those fucking weenies ain't got no retics. There's not one PETA owner with the who knows? Those fools ain't got shit. Who knows? I would love to meet a fucking real PETA supporter and see what animals they keep.
Well, and remember when Chad Brown was on the show, he said it better than anybody. PETA is an ideology.
Yeah.
It's like a religion. It's truly like a religion where they're following a doctrine that they follow because they were told to follow it. Right. I mean, and this is not a commentary on religion. It's a commentary on this. It's not science. It's not fact. It's not even the animals. It is political and societal control for profit by really bad people who are exploiting the emotions of caring people for the sake of their own pocketbooks. Like, it's really fucked up, but this is what we're up against. And the word ethical is what they trade on. So from the perspective of us trying to beat that, if you could look at somebody who is being like the front runner, the face of this reptile industry, if you can look at what they're doing and be like, well, that's pretty unethical, that bodes really poorly for the rest of us. That bodes really, really poorly for all of us who are doing it right.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we take as good a care of our animals as we possibly can.
Right.
Are there things we can improve on? Absolutely. And we try every single day to improve as much as we can. And that's really the truth of it. I'd love for all of our animals to have larger enclosures. I'd wish for us to be able to dial the care in as well as we can. And that is the goal. That's what we're working towards every single day. If you can look at somebody and be like, hey, man, those are some big ass snakes crammed in some pretty tiny spaces, and it seems like the only reason they're being reproduced is for profit. And man, what happens to those thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of giant snakes? That's pretty fucking unethical in my eyes.
Yep.
That's pretty fucking unethical. Is there an ethical way to breed large snakes? Absolutely, but it is not that. I'm sorry. We're at a point where reptiles, we're going to have to realize some shit pretty fucking quickly and change, or this is going to fucking shit. Like, look at all these local reptile shows, or some local reptile shows. There are some great reptile shows out there, but there are some where you can walk in and there are mites everywhere. There are dead animals everywhere. There are animals that just were fucking imported, were not taken any sort of care of, being sold for a very slight markup, because this is the business model of those people. The animals are a dollar value to them, and it is how they make money, because this is how they make money. Like, this is what they know to do. This is how they do it. A couple weeks ago, this was just like a shocking moment for me of like, oh my God, people are like this out there. We had somebody here who we sell rodents to, who owns a pet store, and we do business with. And he was telling me a story of a big black throat monitor he had that he sold to a drug dealer as a protection animal.
What? Is this today?
Damn. What?
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, in the moment, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to say? But I'm like, this is why we have these fucking problems.
Dude, there have been weirdos doing shit like that for years, bro. Like,
of course.
It's because now there's social media. It's now being more exposed. And I mean,
if that type of stuff isn't, if we don't self-regulate, if we don't, if we don't take responsibility for what we're doing as a community, well, then somebody else will, and somebody else is the federal government. And I don't think they care that much if we have our animals or not.
Yeah, I mean, because if you do want to talk about another fucking big issue, is definitely the way how any fucking hillbilly or fucking reject could simply go get an animal at a show and not know what the fuck they're doing. Either raise it up, let it go, or it get escaped. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be regulated as a whole. You know that, right?
Well, and it can be, there's two different ways of regulation. The first way is government with laws. And then there is self-regulation. And there are reptile shows that they'll turn down certain vendors, or they're making it requirements that, hey, if you want to vend the show, you need to be a member of USARC and you need to prove that to us. Those are private organizations. They can turn away whoever the fuck they want to. So there is a huge subset of the reptile community who's doing it right and should be promoted more, and maybe should self-promote more. I can't tell anybody what to do. People have really busy lives and, priorities, which, yeah, absolutely. But, there's sectors of what we're doing that are pushing this forward. More people need to be, for one, made aware. And then we also need to get to a point where that's the ideal. That's what somebody getting into this, like, hey, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
Instead of I want to be the dude who has as many animals as I possibly can. The numbers game. This is quite the rant.
Doing really good.
You're on a roll.
Yeah. Going.
And it gets disheartening at times.
Let me ask you this real quick, Kush.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, what do you feel the outcome's going to be of this exposure video? Like, what do you really feel the outcome's going to be of it?
I mean, if we're being totally honest, probably nothing. Some reptile people will talk about it, and then in time, everyone will forget about it. It's just a video that caught a buzz. But it's a great moment for introspection as a community of like, hey, this was supposed to be the video calling out somebody who's doing it wrong, and this was the result. Says a lot about the leadership publicly in reptiles right now, and it says a lot about the state of the reptile industry, community, hobby, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just because there's not enough out there that is presenting the side that that should be. And at a certain point, I just feel like the way this is going, there's going to be a certain point where more or less people are not, I don't want to say forced, but like it's a better idea to become legitimate than it is to stay where you are. Whether your keeping rights are on the line, or whether your public perception is on the line, or whatever. We wouldn't end up where we are right now if something didn't need to change. We wouldn't be having this conversation if there wasn't something that needed to change.
Yeah. No, definitely something needs to change.
It's one of those where there's smoke, there's fire kind of things. Where there's this unrest right now in the community. After the Biden administration took over, the planned attack by PETA and HSUS went into effect. Just because of the nature of politics, they really had no chance of passing anything for 4 years, major, and really it didn't. The last 4 years of the reptile industry have been fairly even and stable up until COVID.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because COVID was one of the biggest instances of growth in the reptile industry, because people are at home and they had nothing to do and they want a cool pet, and they're like, hey, what about this reptile thing? And from what I've heard and what I've seen, the reptile industry as a whole took about a 30% increase in 2020. That's fucking huge. 30% in a year. That is incredible across the board. I mean, no wonder rodent prices are rising. Cage demand is as high as it has ever been. There are more people building cages and racks than ever before. I mean, truly, like, and why, why are our prices of animals rising? Why are imports becoming more scarce? Legal imports, at least. Why is smuggling at an all-time high? It's because this shit is growing really, really fast. And from an economic standpoint, it'd be really, really dumb to stop, because it's a force in economics. It would be like stopping any other industry that's booming. But at the same time, with that growth, everyone needs to take a step back and be like, we got to make sure that the animals are still top priority, even though this is a business. Because that's where we get into the situation here. I don't want to talk too much about ourselves, but when we hire somebody new up front, we say, like, more than anything, what matters here is that you show care and respect for the animals. And we have fired more people over seeing that they don't care about, in particular, the rodents. Like this is a job to them. Those animals' lives don't matter in their eyes. Like, that is why we fire people. And the rodents, their purpose is food for the reptiles. It's a farm. Like, we produce a product that people buy. But while doing that, we do everything in our power to keep the quality of life, the treatment of the animals, the ethics behind it as high as possible. And I'm not trying to say that, we're all high and mighty and, puffing my chest out, we treat our rats good. It's just, we would do it if we didn't say it. Like, this is just how we run things. And this is probably how everyone else should run things. And that's probably how a lot of people do run things. And that's the truth of the matter. And that's why this is so important, is because these people who are showing this content, they don't represent the reptile industry. Like they really truly represent it very poorly. Because for everybody who's doing the sensationalism and taking retic bites on camera and, 3 venomous snakes, there are thousands of people who are basically treating their collections like their own mini zoo.
Yep.
Then that is the real truth of the matter, and that is why this is so important. Because as much as they want to say, "Oh, legislation isn't placed based off our videos," it's like, how the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
Are you in office? Are you a lobbyist? Are you a member of PETA?
That's heavy.
Are you a PETA plant? Hey, that would be real shitty. But like,
I think we need to get Cush into office. Cush needs to either be on the board at USARC or we need to get him into some sort of political office because we need him in there. Cush is our only hope.
Yeah, I agree with you.
No,
he needs
to. Cush, you're the most non-crooked person in the reptile industry. Like, we need you, dude. Everyone else is fucking.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna deny that claim. Not saying I'm crooked, but I'm not gonna take that claim of the most non-crooked person. There's a lot of really great people doing this. I'm
just saying, bro. You lose sleep over it a lot. I bet. I mean.
Yeah.
You do that normally, but I'm just saying. You're passionate about wanting this to work out, Cush, and you got a lot of energy. You're young, and you look like you could be in office. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, run
with my Unfiltered Reptiles shirt. Anyway, this is not the point of the video. This is kind of exactly what I'm talking against right now.
I'm his manager. I'm Cush's campaign manager. Let's go.
Exactly what I'm saying is wrong with this. But I wouldn't give a fuck about any of this if it wasn't for the animals. That's what this is all. This is what it's all about. There's no reason to have a cold-blooded cafe if there isn't a hobby to support. In this world, there are infinite ways to make money. There are infinite ways to make a living. As reptile people, as business people in this field, this is how we choose to make a living, which is fine. There's nothing against that. There's a huge demand for this product, if you want to call reptiles a product, but for this lifestyle, maybe there's a lot of demand for it, and nothing is to say that demand shouldn't be filled, but it shouldn't be filled by way of exploiting the animals, by the way of prioritizing profit. And this is all very, very idealistic right here. But I think there are some very...
I can't imagine somebody politically in office high enough whose kid doesn't own a reptile or something. Like, come on. Like, there's got to be somebody who's like, okay, there's got to be someone who's like, all right, this is fucking stupid. You guys need to shut the fuck up and then switch it back. Like, I feel like this is going to switch back at some point. I could be just being naive, but
you'd hope so. And the positive.
Hold on. What? I will fucking stop this right now. There's no way there's 8 likes. Hold on. Cush is not even done. We have another hour, but I will fucking take this to Patreon.
Are we really going another hour?
No, bro. Listen, I will stop this and take this to Patreon page. You better get the fucking likes up. This is rude. Steven's going full Cush right now. Like, dude, he ain't got time for this and he's doing it. Get the likes up. Fucked up. That's fucked up. Man. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Anyway.
Rude motherfuckers, bro.
I see 30 likes. I think someone should refresh their page, but
whatever. I don't care. I don't even like that. Even if Joshua Stoner is fucking capping, I don't even like that cap. You better get the likes up.
Yeah, half of you fuck dude, you guys.
That is fucking dark, bro. That right there is. I know,
our videos?
That is brazy right there, bro. That is some fucking
damn,
Bob Smith. That is some Bob Smith shit. And I'm talking to whoever's not hitting that like button. I'm talking to you. You're a Bob Smith
ass. Put your snake down. And
you are the problem. The person who's not hitting the like button is the fucking problem. You're a bitch. You're seriously Bob Smith.
Oh my god, I like it.
Over it. I'm over those motherfuckers, bro. Like, you just come here to get your fucking, you want to get your free content, but you can't hit a simple like button when this guy's spitting his fucking heart out. Fuck
God,
out of here. Bro. I hope
so
the likes.
hard.
Hey, I hope the views go down to 30. Get the fuck out of here.
I
If
can't
you're
even
not
talk
watching,
with him.
if you're
He's
not
so
liking
good.
this shit, get the
I
fuck
can't
off
even
here,
get
bro.
in there. I don't even know what to say.
Fucking nerd supporters
Like
out there. Get the
crazy.
fuck out of here.
Just
Fuck
go
out of here.
wild.
I can't stand you fucking retards.
God damn, get off your ass.
Sorry, I'm good.
Okay. I really do gotta go though.
Oh, you guys are good? Okay. So all that for nothing?
No, Kush can stay. He's gonna stay, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I get the lures.
I gotta
as they
pick
say.
up the baby.
All right. Hey, tell Lars I set it up.
All right.
Please. Tell him that's hey, how's this Ninja Turtle watch?
This is a heavy topic.
How's this Ninja Turtle watches? Is he still rocking them?
Yeah, he loves them.
Okay. Can I get a good pic of him wearing them so I can like put it up somewhere?
Yeah.
I need that for motivation.
All right. Sounds good.
All
Yeah,
right.
you have a good show. I'll be listening.
Thanks, Daz. Love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, after that emotional release,
That really made me mad though, bro. That 50% ratio, I don't fuck with that. I know in Trap Talk I get a better ratio, but bro, I'm glad I got to fucking give this out to whoever is watching this and can't simply hit the like button. I'm fine with that. Just don't come around to the content no more. Weak ass, bro. Sorry, I'm good. So let's get back to the point of conversation here.
we were talking about something, right?
Yeah, we were talking about something. Okay, hold on. What was the last before I went on the rant right now? What the fuck was I just? What were we just talking about? Anyways, okay. So, putting you in office, that would be sick, dude. I mean, but okay, Kush. It is something like, whoa, what? But at the end of the day, somebody who's involved, like us, needs to be involved in office. Like it's at some point, somebody needs to be an insider.
Yeah. I mean, and we can't rely on Phil Goss for everything, but of course, Phil Goss has done, huge amounts for the reptile industry, with the lobbying through USR. But that is the truth. Is that we can't rely on one person. We can't rely on one organization. We can all support that one person in that one organization, but it's going to take more of a rally than that in the long term. With that being said, please, everyone, continue to support USR, continue to support Phil Goss as we do, as the show does. But and that might be what it takes is some people making some serious political connections, and getting our message out there to who we really need to have hear it, because. We all, as reptile people, we all need to hear this to a certain degree, but really the people who need to hear it are those that are making the laws. And there always comes the topic of should we be the ones making the laws? Should the reptile community make laws that are written in ways that support us, but then also govern us at the same time? The prospect of new legislation is never good, but at the same time, new positive legislation is better than new negative legislation. So at a point, it'll be like a lesser of two evils situation. And it really sucks for everybody who didn't contribute to get us to this point. I'd like to think what I've done hasn't negatively affected the reptile industry to the point where we're being heavily regulated and having rights taken away completely. But no matter how it happened, it's here. We did it. Yay, we're here. We're fighting really powerful politicians and lobbying groups. Yay.
Why is it there's somebody more powerful at this point? I had somebody in the comments just saying that this shit's been going on for 30 plus years, bro. Like it's not like this shit's been happening. Like, you know what I mean? So why is it there's somebody more powerful in position to fight for animal rights? Why is it just US ARC? Like, why is it only just US ARC is what I want to know.
And truly, I don't have a good answer to that question. And maybe my answer to that is I haven't been around long enough to know that for sure.
12 years.
But I think the unfortunate truth of the situation are, the reptile industry, the private sector for the most part was started by the way of crime. You know, it was started by career criminals who their crimes were either animal smuggling or fraud with their customers or drugs, which I think we're very happy to all collectively say that's, you know, yes, I'm drinking out of a 16-ounce deli cup. You're not a real reptile person if you don't drink out of 16-ounce deli cups. That's all I got.
Come on, man. That's been go to episode 33.
But but I think that was the first thing is what the foundation of this industry was. You know, for anyone who hasn't, go read or listen to The Lizard King. I'm not a great reader. I don't like to read. I like to listen to audiobooks and do things while. I've listened to that book more than I've listened to any other book in the world, because it is the foundation of everything we do, is what they talk about in that book. And you know, Mario Tabrawi, known now worldwide as the guy who was the inspiration for the character Tony Montana, was a big part of that. And you know, he was like the cocaine kingpin of Miami. Like, you know, I met the dude; he's really cool. But that's the foundation of.
I get to hang out with him in May. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Like, you know, he's an awesome dude, and the thing is, when you meet that guy, you can really tell he loves animals.
Yeah, for sure.
He is addicted to animals just as much, if not more, than many of us are. And you know, we can't really blame it on that, and it's you know. It's kind of interesting to have that kind of history, but I think that may lend into why there isn't more political connection within the reptile industry. Is really who and how it got started. You know, the whole concept of USARK is in the grand scheme of things, you know, is fairly new. And has only become, I don't want to say it that way, but like has really become in the forefront in the last like 10 years or so. Especially, you know, obviously the biggest effort that USARK has put forward that the reptile industry has needed was the lobby against the large constrictor ban back in 2012, 2013. So, you know, and early on, for some reason, there was a lot of people when the concept of USARK was being brought to the table who were like, "Oh, that's stupid. We don't need it. That's not gonna," you know. And history has proved them very wrong on every account of detracting from USARK. So I mean, this is kind of where we are, and we're in this you know, position where, as an industry that, you know, animals have an involvement in, there's always going to be some sort of scrutiny. You know,
I think
that want to make everybody vegan and everyone drive an electric car. Like, you know, there's always some opinion out there and somebody who's introducing a bill somewhere. You know, a bill is just that. It's a bill. But some of these are passing, and a lot of them, though, recently have been either tabled in committee or have failed, which is great. You know, it's every win like that is great. Like in Illinois now, the whole animal program ban has been introduced twice and has failed both times, which is great because that would end the careers of some very good people who make their living going and doing presentations of animals at schools, educating kids. It would end reptile shows. It would end Reptile Fest, the largest educational reptile show in the country. And Tinley Park, the mecca of reptiles. If you are a reptile person, you make that voyage to Tinley Park. That's just kind of what you do. It would have ended that too. So, you know, that would have had a big effect. And it didn't pass, which is incredible. And, you know, there's credit that is due to a lot of people. There's a lot of credit due to USARK as well, which is why it is imperative to continue that support, which it's been great. Unfortunately, this is the circumstance where the USARK talk is coming up of like, hey, if we don't do this, we might not have a choice. It is now like a rush. It is a panic. Support USARK, support USARK, support USARK. But it worked, and there's a lot more support for USARK now than there was previously. Which is great. More people on board with the mission. It's a means to an end. We're here now. It's still growing, and it should continue to grow. It took a reactionary step, unfortunately. People weren't proactively supporting USARK, and that's probably been the biggest issue. Is with unfortunately, I want to say a lot of reptile people, myself, I know it's sometimes included, having kind of a head in the sand approach to some of these things of, oh man, this is really scary. I don't want to think about it. Like, it's a lot easier in the short term. If I thought like that, I'd probably sleep a lot better at night. But obviously it's not a long-term solution. And because of how many people do that, and I'm really not trying to I'm not trying to bash anybody, because these are pretty heavy things to think about. And they're things that, would be great if it just got swept under the rug and we didn't have to worry about it. But I feel like I'd rather live in a world where we have taken action and we have control over what we're doing now. And we are secure and confident knowing that we have taken preventative steps to protect our rights, to protect our industry, and now can grow exponentially on the basis of the protection we've given ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't have to have that worry in the back of our minds of, oh, but what if this happens? It's like, well, let's do something actively to make sure that never can happen. And that's where there will have to be more, I'm not even necessarily going to say more organizations, but more push on this kind of subject to where USARK or other organizations can be proactive instead of reactionary. Well, right now, USARK is running around fighting this, fighting that, fighting this, fighting that. When they're done fighting the first thing, they got to go fight the second thing and go fight.
Fuck.
Instead of fight.
Fuck, man. Fuck. I had
USARK, baby, fuck. We gotta, what games gotta do a USARK promo?
I have to drop this.
Hey, I got a lesson to tell you guys. I'm gonna tell you what. Stop being a pussy! Fuck, man, fuck! All right.
Exactly, but instead of react, it's got to be attack. Where, there's active effort for us to do what we want because that's what we say, and and because we're right. That's the truth of the matter. Is at the end of the day, in this animal rights versus animal keepers, so to speak, debate, we're the ones who are right, and all we got to do is show that we're right, and show that we're right to the right people and to the right amount of people. We don't have to convince anybody. We may have to do some convincing, but it's not fooling. It's not tricking. It's laying facts on the table.
Yeah,
which is a lot easier to do, and I feel like a lot more sustainable than trickery. Which is what animal rights groups do, by way of emotion, which is like the greatest force of control and manipulation is through emotion. That's their tactic. Our tactic is fact. Our tactic is science. Our tactic is truth. I feel like long term that's a lot more sustainable than manipulation and emotional control. So it's really easy to say that too. So I think kind of tying all this together, what we were talking about today is just another great example of kind of how we need to increase self-awareness as a community, and then focus on legitimizing ourselves. Where the whole argument of, well, clickbait, it's good, it brings new people. Well, okay, at the end of the day, new people don't really matter if we can't legitimize ourselves to the point where everything gets taken away. It gets taken away from the new people too. If those who are already established can't protect themselves and can't show that they're even worthy of continuing to have these animals in their lives, then why does it matter? It doesn't really matter what the new person does, because their future is limited based on the fact that we're limiting our own future.
Yeah.
So, and giving these new people somebody to look up to where that's actually where you want to be. And I'm not saying that some of these influencers, quote unquote, aren't really in that category as far as their husbandry and their business models and whatnot, but it's all really at this point about the presentation. Yeah. And presentation, it directly affects the perception pretty heavily. And the truth of your content, at the end, I don't think it really matters quite so much as how you present it. Yeah. And that's the argument that is made as well. But watch the video. Okay, but this person didn't watch the video. They saw the headline, and that was their entire interaction with the concept of captive reptiles for the day, the week, the month. Like, they see a thumbnail, someone like, with a big snake wrapped around their neck. Like, it doesn't reflect too well on us with a bunch of reptiles that we are passionate about and we want to breed to ensure the future of their captive and wild populations, and use this to educate people, to train new people on how to safely interact with these animals. Like, that person with the snake around their neck going, it doesn't accurately represent, and I'm just going to speak on us, but there are thousands of people who this applies to as well. That doesn't fairly represent us, and it doesn't put forward a good face for the industry. Yeah. And it doesn't really. The truth is, it doesn't put forward an accurate face for the industry. We know who we are. We know the positives and the negatives of the reptile industry. Why don't we just present ourselves the way we actually are? Yeah. Like why don't we, why try to manipulate public perception when we could actually just show the truth? Because in many instances, the truth is pretty damn good. In any field, there's going to be bad. I feel like in reptiles, and especially like the kind of people who may be watching this show or participate in some of the different specific Facebook groups or go to places like Tinley Park, like, these people have the right intentions. They're doing right by the animals, and they deserve their recognition. Truly, they deserve to be recognized as, hey, good job. Good, you're doing good you're doing well by the animals, and that at the end of the day is what this is really all about. Because an industry, an economic force around these animals, it is in not a backwards way, but in an interesting way, one of the greatest forces of protecting them. But that is when it is done ethically. And unfortunately, some of that unethical behavior is front and center. So this is where we are. We're at a point where we can either keep supporting this and and not bringing up the contrary argument, or we can say it like it is, like what I hope I've done right now, and say, hey, this is what this is. This is what we actually do, and encourage everybody. We should show the world what we actually do. I'm pretty proud of what we do here. Like I said earlier, we have a lot we can improve on for sure. But I'm happy to know that we take good care of our animals and we give them good conditions.
Yeah.
And if we realize we aren't, or if there's new knowledge that comes out about something, we're gonna, for one, have the humility and the self-awareness to recognize, hey, it's time to change, and then actually do it. Because that's really the truth. Is like a lot of people, they'll let their pride get the best of them. Of when they're critiqued, they go into defensive mode immediately. Which, hey, I'll go into defensive mode if I get critiqued heavily on something too. But then if it's legitimate criticism and if it's constructive, then if the intention is right from the one critiquing, I would really hope that the person being critiqued would at least entertain it, because at the end of the day, it's not about the people. That's what we get wrong so much of the time, is when there's negativity brought up, is it ever negative about the animals, or is it negative about the people?
Right.
I mean, we're talking about these YouTubers, not the animals that belong to them, not what this is actually about. Think about it truly. Think about that. Like, if this is the dialogue, if the dialogue is about the people, how far have we strayed from the mission here? How far has this been corrupted to where the people are the conversation and not the animals? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And truly, like,
yeah.
We just spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about people. Unfiltered Reptiles Podcast.
That's pretty sad.
I mean,
That's
truly.
True. But then also, I told you, this kind of shit needs to be brought to attention.
Absolutely. But it needs to be brought up because this is the truth of the situation right now. But the truth of our future should be that word reptiles, where it's not the this guy show, the that guy show, the person. It's the fucking animals. This is what this is all about. There are people who get into this because they see an economic opportunity, and not to bash, but it's the truth, particularly in ball pythons, because that's where the economics is. The reptile industry would not be where it is today without the ball python, and I mean that in a very positive way. But a majority of people get into this because of the animals, because they either have a love, a passion, a fascination, a fear maybe. I know a lot of people who are like, hey, I got my first snake because I was afraid of him, and I'm like, well, I want to get over this fear. And then now they love them. But it's the reason for getting in is always it's almost always about the animals. And if you look at like instances of people who have left the industry, every single time it is the people.
Yeah.
They left because they couldn't stand the people.
Yep, 100%.
That is what is so fucked up about this right now. Is
the truth, Kush. What did you want to do earlier? And you're like on the cusp of doing it.
Yeah, no. Yesterday, I was looking up how do you disable your Instagram account where you don't delete it, it's gone for a while. I did it, and for some reason, it didn't disable my account.
Just delete your app and don't log on for a while. That's all you got to do.
Well, I didn't want people to be able to message me, and I'm just never gonna respond to them.
Well, listen, you don't want that, guys. Come on, we don't want Kush to go fucking MIA, and then there we go. We can't get no bubs. Like, come on, guys, we need to stop.
But like,
whoever's doing it need to stop.
And that for me is, hey, I'm not paying attention to the bullshit, and any attention that is given to bullshit is now given to animals.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
that's I think that's a good point to like possibly leave off on and really emphasize is where did we go so wrong? Where did it become about the people and not about the animals? And now how do we get it back to being about the animals? Because this is where we truly are. There's a lot of people who do this for the love of the animals, and that is their focus at the end of the day. But
you want to make it all about the animals, Kush? Get rid of social media. That's your answer. And guess what? Social media.
But you know, but yes and no though, because but think about it. With the right intentions, with the animals being the priority, is there a better possible way to promote the positivity of the reptile industry than social media?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's a free platform that anybody can use. Like, and with the way that Facebook and Instagram are set up, you know, you can follow thousands and thousands of people and you'll see their content. Where on YouTube, I know personally for me, like, I'm not watching videos from I hardly have time to watch YouTube as it is, but if I am, I'm probably watching a select few people. Where on something like Instagram, like I follow like 300 something people, I would never watch 300 YouTube channels. Never. I don't have that kind of time in the day. But I have time in the day eating lunch to just scroll on Instagram and be like, cool reptile, cool reptile, cool reptile.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we have all the tools necessary to promote this thing the way we want to. We just have people and egos and agendas in the way of doing that. So I think that's kind of the main point of this hour and a half is, you know, when did it become not about the animals? Why is it not about the animals? And how do we get it back to where it is about the animals? Because at the end of the day, if it's not about the animals, then what the fuck is it about?
Seriously, because if it's not about the animals, I don't want nothing to do with it. Because that's not what I'm here for.
I do this because of the animals.
That's
like
it.
You know, and you know, running a business and being involved in this, I've realized that there's a lot more ways to make a lot more money, a lot quicker, and a lot more efficiently. But that's not the point. Make money as a result of doing what you love, not make the money off of the animals.
Fuck bitches, make money.
So,
yeah.
Let's pronounce Deli Cup, man.
Well, cheers to that, Dilly Cup. Well, Kush, this was a good point. Honestly, this was what needed to be said, what needed to be heard, and we got it done. So I appreciate you, man. I think to conclusion to everything that was said tonight, I think all we need to do is really, and I don't want to be cornball about this, but we got to come together, bro. Like, that's it. Like, if it really comes to making a change, a drastic, noticeable change, it has to be something that everybody does on the same page together.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately just don't see that happening.
I think unfortunately it's going to be either everyone on the same page does it, or a certain group does it, and everyone who doesn't go with them gets left behind.
Yep.
I think that's really it.
That's really it.
So, you know, you either got to shape up, do right by the animals. If you already are, keep doing it. And if you're not, just be prepared to be left behind. Just be prepared, because you've had every opportunity in the world to do it right. You chose not to. And look, now you got left behind.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say.
Now look at yourself. Anyways, great shit, man. I appreciate you, Kush. This was a great topic, great conversation. And looks like we're going to take next week off because you are going to be in Arlington, Texas.
Yes, sir.
You could catch the Rep Tech crew over there in Arlington, Texas at the show. They're
we're just hanging out. So no
we'll be shopping
in Arlington, but
guarantee they get some sick shit. I guarantee that 100%. Even though they're, we're not getting nothing, they're going to get some. Watch. I can't wait to see what
we may be picking things up, but we're probably not buying.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. But anyways, you have a good night, Kush.
You too,
I'm
sir.
gonna enjoy the rest of my night, and make sure you guys are ready for tomorrow Trap Talk with MJ. We have Seth, the Wild Hanbury. This guy is pretty amazing, and he's in falconry. I hope I said that right, falconry. But yeah, man, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the Unfiltered Reptiles Podcast, all that good stuff, and support each other. That's all I can say. Have a good night. Later.